This is a very important broadcast we're going to be doing today because we now have the goods. We've got information you don't want to lose, exposing 51 fake signatures that signed off on the Hunter Biden laptop being Russian in origin. We're finding out that at least 4 of the people that signed off on that were from the Republican and the Democrat Party, both former CIA directors. How bad is this intelligence community? We're going to get the inside story. You're not going to want to miss that. Plus, it makes sense. We're going to be covering about the demonic nature of communication that's taking place in media. And the Arts Mountain, now with a movie called Nefarious, is exposing something which has some people's skin crawling because it's so lifelike, so real about the demonic that it actually might set people free. And we're going to cover some of that movie in a moment. But if you really want to get down to where the demons really are, you want to get Breaking Controlling Spirits and Leviathan. This powerful combination of resources here will set you free. LanceWallnau.com/break free. Don't miss it. Welcome back to the Lance Wallnau Show. This special edition show we're going to be doing right now is covering what's hot this week that we need to really focus on that gets missed. I don't want anyone to miss this big story. Do you remember during the debate when Trump came at Biden and said the Hunter Biden laptop is being squelched? There's information there that needs to be exposed. They tried to impeach Trump twice. They spied on him while he was the president. The intelligence services produced 51 names at the request, we found out, of the guy who's running the top policy advising for Biden right now. What's his name? Blinken. And we're going to find out this. He actually solicited John Brennan and Clapper and Comey and all the dysfunctional crew of intelligence assets that are working for the progressive Democrat Marxist Party that are wanting to spy on conservatives, Catholics. What's happening in America is shocking, perhaps only equaled by the apparent confusion and disorientation of American preachers who don't recognize the danger to liberty and the freedoms that we have. But I want you to watch this, a special segment here. Brian Kilmeade put together this ex-CIA deputy chief exposing Anthony Blinken's starring role in the Hunter Biden cover-up. Watch this.
New developments in the congressional probe into Hunter Biden's business dealings. According to House Republicans, they're saying that former CIA Deputy Director Mike Morrell gave them new information about the origins of a letter from 50 former intelligence officials concerning Hunter Biden's laptop. That statement, you'll recall, was published in October of 2020, and it suggested possible Russian involvement in hacking the laptop's contents. Our senior investigative correspondent, Catherine Herridge, has more.
I've never spoken.
In the final weeks of the 2020 presidential campaign, the New York Post reported on the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, alleging he used his father's position for personal gain, a claim the president's son has denied. Less than a week later, more than 50 former intelligence officials released a statement that the laptop had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation.
About laptop from hell.
At the final presidential debate, then candidate Biden cited the letter from intel officials to push back against then President Trump's attacks.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage.
According to a letter released Thursday night from the Republican chairman of the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees, former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morrell told congressional investigators that days after the laptop story, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, then a Biden campaign advisor, reached out to Morrell and set in motion the events that led to the intelligence officials' public statement.
If they made an effort to manipulate intelligence officials to sign a letter basically misleading the public about the Hunter Biden laptop right before the election, that is a major, major political event.
This comes after an IRS agent came forward this week alleging the investigation involving Hunter Biden's taxes has been improperly influenced for political reasons. The White House responded.
The president respects the rule of law and the independence of the Department of Justice.
We asked Morell, who is a former CBS News contributor, if the characterization of his congressional interview is accurate, and he declined to comment. In a tweet, the White House accused House Republicans of weaponizing their power to relitigate the 2020 election rather than focus on the real problems Americans face.
Yeah, the real problems America faces right now is the corruption of the intelligence community working along with media and deep state actors and big money corporations in order to destroy America and plunder it while you and I are watching. When you got a deputy director, Mike Morell, I don't know what happened with him, what happened to him in something he got caught up in, that he had to come clean and say, look, let me tell you the truth. I had to put together a document, get 50 of these signatures. We needed Biden to get up there and read his scripted comments saying that, oh, the Hunter Biden laptops, oh, Russia, you know, Russia and Trump, Russia disinformation. And the truth is now we know. It was a lying document. And when you've got 4 former heads of the CIA from both parties signing off on it, that tells you how deep and dangerous this intelligence swamp is. God is exposing stuff, folks. But then the other part of the story that I think we missed because it was lumped together there, Mercedes, is an IRS agent, not an IRS agent like some gumshoe that's doing your taxes for you, a high-level agent who has experience in litigation, had the guts and the courage. This is where prayer makes a difference, to step forward and say, I'm exposing it. Janet Yellen and the IRS is suppressing document exposure that reveals the corruption of Hunter Biden. What are they talking about? Well, I listened to an interview with Ted Cruz. He has a podcast. He said that Janet Yellen should be releasing all relevant documentation. She has no right to block the to the committees that are investigating this into the American people. I mean, come on, everything Trump's ever done, right down to his underwear 10 years ago, is going to be brought out in public display. Why can't we know what the Biden family's doing a couple of years ago with government money, contacts, funding? Because here's where they're going to get exposed. Now, track with me on this. It was 3 Biden family members that were originally on the payroll of the influence scheme where Hunter would go around and get contracts and business deals going with these different countries, including Ukraine, I believe, and including China, communist China. But lo and behold, they found 6 other family members, totaling 9 Biden family members, all making money off of the Biden plan. Listen. He's a generous Irishman in the old school Tammany Hall definition of corrupt politics from New York City, only he got sloppy, because here's where they're going to get caught. When you've got 9 family members making millions of dollars off of stuff that they're not actually doing business to achieve, how do they report it? And that's where the IRS comes in. That's why them sitting on the documentation is criminal obstruction. Because obviously that money has to be accounted for. And if you're an agent working with a foreign government, you have to report yourself as an agent with a foreign government. But if you're doing business deals with foreign governments as a government person working with 80 visits to the White House during the Obama years, 80 people. I went there twice. And I remember exactly when I went to the White House. It was like Christmas party and prayer breakfast. 80 visits with your business buddies, going golfing and meeting. The only reason why you have 80 family visits with a vice president or with that level of office is when you're influence peddling and promising access to influence, because you can prove you've got access to the big guy. 80 trips up there with dad out golfing and doing your visits. So I say Janet Yellen needs to release the documents and stop obstructing justice. And I think that Deputy Director Mike Morell, keep praying for him, because there are people that are going to come forward revealing this guy Blinken was soliciting damage control. I think he needs to be brought before a congressional interview and hearing as to what made him think this was Russian disinformation and how much did he know about the contents of the laptop. And I think the contents of the laptop in terms of the business activity should be exposed. What do you say?
I agree. I think we need to get down to the truth. I don't know if we're ever going to get to it. I don't know if Janet's going to give anything up. She's not really known for playing ball or being competent at her job. So just look at the economy.
What happens if this gets exposed? Do you think Lindsey Graham has the will to do anything? He's always up there talking like he's going to do something, then he does nothing.
Yeah,
it's like
I know.
He's always trotted out to say he's the outrage voice, and then he goes back and, says, I took care of it. Don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, he's interesting. Bureaucrat, it's just long-term politician, bureaucrat. He's got that vibe.
Well, anyway, now to just change the subject a wee little bit here. What we have happening now, I talk to these prophetical people, and some of these guys, they sense and they see and they conjecture, and I'm very generous with them. I say, well, look, you're trying to sense what you see coming in the future, and there's a couple of them, if I'm not mistaken, that said that there's going to be some changes in the White House. And here's what concerns me. I'm concerned that this case is going to go obviously to the point where it's going to be an impeachment. It's going to be damaging for the Democrats. And then Biden is going to make an exit for health reasons out of office. And then Kamala Harris is going to step in. And the whole thing is going to be considered to be an act of personal vendetta. And they're focusing in on Trump right now with Alvin Braggs. And then they've got, they're looking at waiting 2 or 3 months for the indictment against Trump in Georgia for election interference. So I see this is going to be, anyway, some of these guys that I'm talking to are saying they're predicting that Biden is not going to be staying in office.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
I think if you were going to make that switch, wouldn't you have already done it? I mean, we're almost to the point where he's getting ready to rerun. We're getting to the time where look at everybody's announcing it's that season. So I don't know if he's going to bow out. I'm not really sure.
Well, let's do a lay of the land analysis, folks. We have Tucker Carlson taken off the field of battle right there at Fox. And I mean this sincerely. I think we have to have, it's one of the reasons why I'm actually going to be developing this prayer network more intentionally. You ever have these ideas that come to you and you wonder if that was God? And later on you think, I think that was God. I've often thought that what are we, I remember this when Rush was coming down with cancer, and I thought, uh-oh. It's like praying a little bit too late at that point. When you take the top 4 or 5 voices we've got out there that are on the front lines, are they not as important to pray for as any president or any preacher that is on the front lines of real spiritual warfare?
Yeah. We
should be covering these guys' voices. We should be covering the networks. I'm not happy that Fox is taking a bloodbath now in the marketplace. It's kind of it's like the old joke goes, the good news is your enemy just drove over a cliff. The bad news is he was driving your Porsche. So the bad news is that Fox is the one media outlet we have which does have some conservative voices on it. So I'm not happy. Also, same thing with Bud Light. So Anheuser-Busch is 60% supports conservatives, 40% like liberal causes. In the world of corporate investment, that's huge. I'm not happy to see these guys suffer. I don't want to see Anheuser-Busch suffer. I don't want to see Fox suffer. I want to see some victories, don't you? But we're running out of time. I'm just laying it out there, folks. We need to pray for the people and the institutions we love and care about, because there's war in the spirit realm. And we'll be coming right back after this.
The spirit of betrayal is now getting broken off your business.
Every experience.
Broken off your finance.
Every challenge.
Getting broken off your marriages.
Every triumph has been preparing you for this moment.
The Lord is taking territory in His people where His people live.
Join us for Dream Trip 2023 in Carlsbad, California, where you will unlock your door to destiny.
There is a hunger for awakening.
Gain clarity.
The challenge is that many of us don't understand where that awakening is going to take us.
Align with your purpose.
And a true awakening of the nature of which God is sending isn't just for our own personal refreshing or revitalization.
And receive the commission to move forward boldly.
It's actually to shift and to change the status quo.
Through immersive experiences, you will be equipped with tools and resources to help you unlock your full potential. Join us for Dream Trip 2023 in Carlsbad, California. Your time is now. Don't miss out on this life-changing experience.
Welcome back to this final segment of the show today for Real America's Voice, and for those of you that are watching on our podcast, the Lance Wallnau Show. This segment's important because I want to talk to you about a movie that just came out. I'm hearing a lot of buzz about. Now, a young Christian lady came to me and said that she saw it, but she was greatly troubled. She feels as though she got exposed to some intense spiritual warfare or demonic stuff. It was just like icky. Other people have come back from this saying, wow. It's kind of like The Exorcist. Did you see the movie The Exorcist? Huh?
Who said it was icky?
I'm not going to reveal it on national. You were always accusing me of not being able to keep these state secrets. I'm not going to tell you who said it.
Classic.
Although I can give you a hint. No, I'll give you a hint. You know who this person is. Now, what I want to say is, the movie, I had not seen it. I cannot claim it, but now The Exorcist was really weird. And yet I saw it, but I can remember people getting up and walking out of the theater even when I went to see The Exorcist.
Well, that's a lot different than this. I wouldn't even compare those two. I think that's kind of apples.
Have you seen the movie?
I've seen the clips. I want to go see it this weekend, but it's supposed to be like a Christian drama horror movie.
The name of the movie is?
Nefarious. And so what ends up happening is there's a guy who's on death row. He gets one more psych evaluation before he's executed, and he claims to be a demon. And so this psychiatrist ends up having this whole dialogue with this demon. And I think we should talk about it because you were just talking in the last segment about how we need to be praying for these essentially secular prophets and for Christians.
We have to pray. I'm telling you, man, we got to cover the Tucker Carlsons and the Steve Bannons and the Navarros, all the courageous, even the Bonginos. I love these guys. I love even Glenn Beck. We need all the voices we have because the darkness is just taking over. It's gobbling up the air, and the freedom to speak the truth is really under siege.
Well, and I wanna play a clip from it because I think it really illustrates kind of how twisted cultural thinking is. But before we do, I want to highlight that Rotten Tomatoes has given this, by the actual Hollywood movie reviewers, a 33% rating. The audience score has given it a 96%. So,
what does it mean when the audience says 96%, but Rotten Wokeism says it's 33%?
Exactly.
It means it must be nailing the subject exactly the way the conservative wants to see it happen. Let's watch.
Your side's not doing too well. Do you really believe that, James? Yeah. We've never been freer. Literacy is at an all-time high. We're working to eliminate racism, intolerance, gender inequality. People can love who they want, be who they want, do what they want. Diversity is no longer a dream. Hate speech is no longer tolerated. And politically, we're reclaiming the moral high ground. James, I think I love you. Literacy, James, the average high school graduate reads at a 6th grade level. You have basketball players making $30 million a year decrying racism, all while wearing sneakers made from slave labor. Now, here's something for you. Right now, your world currently has 40 million slaves, more than the Romans had at the height of their empire. You want to know the best part, though? Half of those, are sex slaves, James. As for hate speech, well, you want to hear some irony? We didn't even come up with that one. You did it all by yourself. Sometimes you amaze even us. I fail to see the humor. Bottom line is you're done. It's over, that's it. And we did it all right to your face, James. And now there's evil everywhere. And no one even cares. Yeah, I don't agree. Proving that we achieved our goal. Slowly, with your movies, your TV, and your media, we desensitized you. Redirected your worldview to the point that you can't even recognize evil when it's right in front of your face.
So why does the Bible say you pray for those that are in authority, for rulers and those that are in authority? In that segment there, if you didn't catch the dynamic, and I'll see the movie, the psychologist is celebrating all this supposed progress, and you can see he's just quoting all like the talking points that you get on the, basically on the college campus. Meanwhile, the demonized guy is saying, some of this stuff you came up with, we didn't even come up with it, but we'll work with it. It's as though there's this naivety in human beings that unconsciously cooperates with the demonic. I interviewed a guy that was formerly with Hitler's SS. He had come to the United States as an immigrant. He had worked for a company that a friend of mine owned, and he became a great upstanding American citizen. And I found out that he had been a German at 18 years of age during the Second World War. And I went on a trip with him, and I once kind of said to him, I said, how did you know anything about Hitler? Did you ever meet him? He goes, I don't tell people I was in the SS. I said, how did you do that? And what did you do? He says, I was young, with 18. He said, you must understand, Hitler was a god to us. We were defeated in the First World War. We had a knee to our groin with the way in which the reparations were set up so that Germany was made to pay back for the First World War. We went through the Great Depression, and then this man arose who gave us our self-esteem, who gave us our respect, who gave us our dignity. And then he came to power, and we went to war. And I said, then what happened? He said, then we found out that he was flipping crazy. He said, it was too late. He was in power by the time we knew he was a nut. He said, but that was Germany. He destroyed the whole country. He was crazy. So why do you pray for rulers and those who are in authority? Well, I like to use the word, the idea for mountains. We're always talking about mountains when I'm doing training. 7 mountains. The big one we're talking about this week is media and arts. Media and arts, because with Tucker Carlson coming down, with Rush Limbaugh, dying of cancer, with the constant warfare that takes place over the January 6th narrative, being able to speak the truth about the election and what happened. There's always warfare over this stuff, and it's not to a Christian. It's not unrealistic to see. The Bible describes this as we wrestle not with people. People are at the top of these mountains. People are there. These are called gatekeepers. And gatekeepers sit at the gates of power. And I'll put a little Chinese gate here. And the gatekeepers are up there. And we believers are told to pray for rulers and those that are in authority so that we can lead a godly and peaceable life. Christians aren't trying to take over the world. We're not trying to upset other people's apple cart. We just want the freedom to be able to live and preach a message and have common flourishing and freedom among us. Christians are like the hobbits in the Shire. They're not interested in going out where the orcs are. But we have on occasion to go on these adventures where we have to leave the comfortability of our lives because it's required of us to go to battle the darkness. Now, what's happening is you've got people that are at the top of these mountains, and there's influence that is over these areas. We're supposed to be praying for them so that we can have peace. But what happens if darkness starts to come down and penetrate this realm? The ideas that get into these gates can become dangerous. And when those ideas become dangerous, they're no longer neutral. You could say that the mountain starts to take on a personality. So now I'm just going to put like a Frankenstein look here, little electrodes on the side of the head. What happens is governments can start to, like, let's take the CCP. Why do we always talk about the danger of the Communist Party? Because if these governments, if these people ever come under the influence of the wrong ideas, the whole area of media can be built upon lies. The whole area of media can be propaganda. This is what happens in Nazi Germany. This is what happens in the CCP. This is what happens when you lose the freedom of speech that you value. Yeah. Suddenly, there's a power. Now, these other mountains that are down here, look at this. The government can take over such power that it literally restricts the church. So it teaches you what is hate speech, what is not hate speech. What can you say? Canada's like that now. You can get locked up for preaching the Bible. Is homosexuality a sin? Oh, you better be careful what you say in Canada. You can get locked up for saying something. The same thing happens with the school. I'll put a little book over here, education. Your children are going to be taught critical race theory. They're going to be taught whatever it is that the government policy says they have a right to teach. This week, you caught it in the news, the big kerfuffle. Biden just revealed. He didn't make a gaffe. He revealed what Terry McAuliffe said, what Hillary Clinton believes, what the Democrats believe. These children are not your children. They're owned by the state. Your children are our children, Biden made the mistake of saying. He'll back that one up fast. Because right away, even liberals, Democrats, and thinkers go, hey, my kid is my kid, not the government's kid. Well, not in these systems. In Nazi Germany or in communist Russia or in communist China, the state owns your child. You are a steward of the state. So we pray that this doesn't happen in America, where and the government's close to it. The government is close to being taken over when the intelligence agencies, 51 of them, sign off, lying on a document to make sure that Donald Trump and Republican populists do not have him in the White House, when they lie about clear violation of corruption policies with a laptop that they're suppressing. When the intelligence communities are doing that, friend, we're further in trouble than we know. So the believers here are praying, and we are praying right now that we do not end up with a government taken over that controls every aspect of our life and freedom. We're praying that we can actually have the freedom to have an honest, free election where our children can be in an America that's free. So Mercedes, you've got a little girl named Liberty.
Yes.
What do you think about what I'm saying? Does this make sense?
I mean, I think, Lance, and you talk about this, where this really comes down to an America on a state-by-state level of what the level of the involvement of the government. I mean, think about Washington State right now, that if a child wants to run away and they want to have a sex change, there's a bill right now sitting on the governor's desk waiting to be signed.
At 14.
Yeah. Exactly. And they'll pay it. They'll pay for it. They'll fund it. They won't tell the parents. I mean, that is really sick. And to your point, that's what they want to happen at a federal level. But thank God we live in the United States of America, and states have states' rights thanks to the 10th Amendment. It's just, it's amazing.
Well, we are doing something, and I want everyone on our Flashpoint audience to know about it. It's a fireandglorytour.com. Fire and Glory Tour. What we're doing is we're going throughout America, and we're going state by state. Our goal is to hit every one of those swing states, those critical geographic areas that are going to determine the future of America. Colorado Springs is coming up. We're going to be there next. And if we can't get a building, or if they're trying to shut us down, we've got our own tent that'll seat like 5,000 people. We're going to have populist rallies. We're going to see the Word of God preached, pray for the people that need to be prayed for, see a supernatural demonstration of God's hand come down, but we're going to mobilize business leaders, pastors into a coalition of power. You need to know about it. fireandglorytour.com. We'll see you again next week.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.